I'm Angie Brady. I'm the director of the Office of the Waterfront and Civic Projects with the City of Seattle. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate the importance and the significance of the cherry trees that were recently planted right here on Pike Street. Today we will be hearing remarks from Mayor Harrell, Consul-General of Japan Iyori Makoto, Karen Yoshitomi, Executive Director of the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Washington, and Councilmember Andrew Lewis. These cherry trees and the associated commemorative plaque right here that we're about to unveil today will be honoring the historical significance of cherry trees for the Japanese American community and the City of Seattle. Japanese American farmers once represented over 75% of the vendors at Pike Place Market, right here behind us. These farmers, along with all others in the local Japanese and Japanese American communities, were unjustly incarcerated in 1942 during World War II, solely on the basis of their race. The work to highlight this history and significance of the cherry trees planted in this location has been a collaborative effort. We sincerely thank the people of the Japanese American community, the Japanese Consulate, and the Japanese American Citizen League, who worked with the city to develop the information written on the plaque we're unveiling today. I would like to also recognize and thank Tatsui and Yutaka Susaki, the co-chairs of the Seattle Cherry Blossom and Japanese Cultural Festival, who have helped the community celebrate the significance of these special trees for many, many years. In addition to beautifying this space, we hope the 8 new Prunus First Blush cherry trees will help residents and visitors alike gain a broader understanding of the historical and cultural connection between the Japanese community and the Pike Place Market. The planting of the cherry trees is part of Waterfront Seattle's Pike and Pine Streetscape and Bicycle Improvements Project, which we began construction of this February. And it is an important part of the strengthening of the connection between Seattle's downtown to our brand new waterfront currently under construction. We're standing in one of the project's signature block improvements, a curbless street meant to prioritize people walking and rolling. And I can't tell you how happy we are to see crowds gathering in this vibrant public space, enjoying the views of one of our city's most iconic locations right here at Pike Place Market. We're very excited to have the cherry trees here. Without further ado, thank you for joining us. I am going to be handing this off to our Mayor Harrell.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a minute, I got to make sure. We only need about 15 more minutes. Okay, we're going to be okay here. Thank you, Director Angela Brady, for all the work you're doing to help us reinvigorate this city. And thank all of you for being here on. You thought it was going to rain. We could take this little drizzle. We're really excited about what we're talking about here today, what we're doing. It's very exciting to be here with members of our Japanese American community and our downtown stakeholders who live here and work here and play here to commemorate our plaque, to symbolize and give meaning to what we're trying to do here with our 8 new cherry blossom trees. They're planted here this month. The City of Seattle, we're looking for ways to not only embrace our efforts against climate change, to embrace discussions in race and social justice, to reinvigorate our downtown Seattle and keep people safe, but to take our city on a whole different level in terms of oneness, if you will. In the next several weeks, wherever you hear me speak, I'm going to find a way to weave in the Husky game that's coming up here in January. But I just couldn't find a segue into the trees and the Huskies, and so I'm going to give myself a pardon on this one. But many of you do know my own personal story with my Japanese heritage in my travels to Japan, trying to understand my own alignment with Japanese culture. And what I've come to understand is that this becomes important for anyone that identifies with a certain ethnicity, in as much as it leads us to our path of commonality. What you've gone through in your life, what your family has gone through in their lives, a story of resilience, of overcoming impediments. I don't care what color you are, what race you identify with, what your socioeconomic level is, how much noise is in the background. I don't care about any of that. What we care about is how you overcame your challenges, and that's what these trees represent. I could talk a little bit about our goal of reversing our decline in tree canopy and how this sort of symbolizes these efforts. And you know, we will plant another 16 additional trees in other locations, including the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Washington, and including areas in our new world-class waterfront currently under construction. But these efforts do more than just defeat climate change. Once again, in Seattle, we're not afraid to talk about our past. It is our stories of resilience that will make us stronger. The last couple of years has been very, very tough on this country, even tough on all of us personally. I don't see any of you wearing masks, by the way. You know, this thing is not, we're not completely out of the woods. And I bring humor to that situation because this is traumatic for all of us, and we still are walking around with trauma. It's this kind of symbolism, this kind of hope that will help us pierce through what we've gone through and come together as one community. Our history together is that, our history together. So I want to thank everyone who provided feedback on what we're trying to do here. When we looked at what we were trying to do here, he's all right. Hey, brother. Hey. All right, I see you. One Seattle, baby. I'm with you. That's part of it. Right on. He's good. He's good. He's good. What we tried to do in our One Seattle, that could have been embarrassing with those birds flapping. And I know what you all were thinking too. You didn't get your moment. What we tried to do in our One Seattle vision here is we listened to you. We listened to what you wanted to do, and we will always do that in our administration. We're trying to make good, solid-based, data-based, outcome-based decisions, but we could make mistakes. And we ask for grace. We learn every single day. And so that's why this is so exciting. And with that, I want to thank you again for joining us, and I'd like to introduce our Consul-General Makoto, Iyori, the Consul-General of Japan, for some remarks. And again, thank you for being here.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I appreciate the honor of being part of this ceremony to unveil the commemorative plaque highlighting the historical significance of Seattle cherry tree to the Japanese American community. As articulated on the plaque, Japanese cherry trees or sakura trees serve as a crucial symbol of Seattle's enduring ties with Japan. Dating back to 1909, these cherry trees were sent from Japan to Washington, D.C. via Seattle as a gesture of friendship to the United States. At that time, Seattle was home to over 5,000 Japanese and Japanese Americans, including the farmers mentioned on the plaque. In reflecting on Japanese American history, it's essential not only to learn the hardships before and during World War II, but also to recognize the remarkable progress and community bonds forged by Japanese Americans in the following decades. Since my arrival in Seattle 6 weeks ago, I've been deeply impressed by the commitment of community leaders and organizations that have contributed to the positive and cordial Japan-US relations we cherish today. The blossoming of sakura trees heralds the end of cold, dark, and gloomy winter, cherishing in the bright and uplifting spring. These newly planted sakura trees will paint Seattle with splash of pink and bring happiness those who behold them. As we take in this seasonal beauty, I hope it can remind us of the bonds of friendship and mutual understanding enjoyed today by the diverse communities of Seattle and between Japan and the United States. Thank you very much. And I'd like give the floor to the Karen Yoshitomi, Executive Director, Japan Culture and Community Center of Washington.
Okay, well, I'm a Northwest girl, so I'm ready if it rains. I laminated my notes. But I'm only 95% ready because I changed my mind on what I was going to say, so I had to do it in permanent pen. But I'm getting there. Anyways, thank you, Mayor Harrell, Consul-General Iyori, and Councilmember Lewis for supporting the inclusion of cherry trees as part of the Pike Pine streetscape and bicycle improvements. I'm sure that there were a number of options considered for landscaping and a lot of challenges. I know, too soon probably, but cherry trees, and in particular the blossoms, have great cultural significance in Japan. The cherry blossoms are a symbol not only of beauty, but also impermanence. I wanted to share with you a short story about cherry blossoms. About 850 years ago, in Japan, there was an 8-year-old boy who just knew he wanted to become a monk. He was so determined that he begged his uncle and aunt until they relented. The boy and his uncle traveled many miles up into the mountains. When they finally reached the monastery, it was very late in the evening. The headmaster was reluctant to let the young boy and his uncle inside and asked, "Why not come back tomorrow?" The boy responded with words that had become famous. It's a short poem that's still remembered today, and it goes like this. Like cherry blossoms are the lives of those who think they might, for who can tell, but there may be a tempest in the night. Back in 1968, the Japanese Community Service, we call it the Nikkei Jinkai, published a book that was written and compiled by Chisaburo Ito. In Japanese, it was titled Hyakunen Sakura, 1,000 Cherry Blossoms. In English, it was retitled Issei. And the contents of the book was a collection of, they called reports from people across the Pacific Northwest District, and then also as far away as Chicago, Hawaii. And they were stories about individual experiences, immigration, what it was like working in the railroads, in the lumber mills, the discrimination, trying to fit in, the relationship between those who are here and those who are back in Japan. And the book is organized by name so that people can come still and look through the Japanese or the English version, and many have found stories about their ancestors and what their experience was like. The cherry blossoms are symbolic of the countless number of people who came before us, people who made it possible for the gift of life that we have today. We acknowledge the fragility of life and express our gratitude by putting in our best effort today, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Thank you to all of those who are involved in this commemoration, and certainly thank you for all of your leadership, because you're doing today what will make an impact tomorrow for future generations. That's what these cherry blossoms mean. And also for remembering the significant role of the Japanese American truck farmers who sold the produce at the Pike Place Market. Thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of this important ceremony, and it is my honor to turn the microphone over to the next speaker, Councilmember Lewis.
Karen, thank you so much, and thank you for your leadership in bringing this together today. Thank you. Thank you. I look out at this crowd of people today that made this happen, because it wasn't just us sitting up here. We're the people in authority. We're the people with power that help pull the levers But we did it because the community reached out to us and said this really, really need to happen. I remember Cindy Laws reaching out to me. I remember the people at Save the Market entrance, not only involved in the placemaking for what we were doing here on Pike, but also for saving the historic Han building, for saving the showbox when it was potentially facing the wrecking ball. These are the civic institutions, the cultural institutions of our city, and a round of applause to you for your work in bringing this day about. In the city of Seattle, we both figuratively and literally put down roots. That's what we're doing today. We're doing it for these cherry blossom trees, but it's also inherent to who we are as a multicultural people in this city. It is no mistake that our first sister city of the many sister cities that the city of Seattle has is Kyoto in Japan. It is a storied history of the relationship between the city of Seattle, our Japanese community, that has been such a critical part of who we are as a city. It's not a relationship that has always been pretty. The leadership of the city, our federal government, has failed the people of this city of Japanese descent who have built this place. But every single time, we as civic leaders come together in generations later to ask forgiveness. We come together to placemake, to build, to commemorate that relationship that has made this such a unique, neighborly relationship in the Pacific Rim between Japan and the city of Seattle. That's what we're doing here today, because these trees, they're not just trees. This is what was so evident from talking to the community when they were being removed. When we were going to replace these trees, not with more cherry blossoms, but with just any kind of bland street tree that might be easier to maintain, that, you know, might provide shade in the months where we need it to provide shade, might protect us from the rain on a day where that's inconvenient. But they don't capture that cultural connection that is so important to who we are. It doesn't put down roots in the way that we as Seattleites really value putting down our roots. That's what we're doing here today. And, you know, the work that we've been doing downtown over the past 2 years, because Mayor Harrell is right, it's been a very difficult period of time. It's been difficult 2 years for you, 4 years for me. But, you know, the work that we are doing downtown is about looking at what this place can truly be, looking at what downtown can be, not just in restoring the pre-COVID status quo, but building a new downtown where we take places like this stretch of Pike that used to be dominated by cars, and we turn that over to the people of the city. Where we remove a couple of cherry blossom trees that are decaying, that are dying, replace them with more cherry blossom trees that will thrive and endure in this urban environment. That is the work that we are doing. That's the One Seattle work that Mayor Harrell has led on. It's been a great privilege and honor to work with Mayor Harrell in moving that work forward. And I really look forward to seeing what happens in the city of Seattle going forward under his leadership, and appreciate the opportunity to come here today to commemorate this planting, and in a broader sense, commemorate the long and storied relationship between Japan and the city of Seattle. So thank you so much.
Now we clap.